Okay, Containerman 68 did a video a couple of months ago, I think it was about 7 months ago, from Wichita, Kansas, where he was at the Spirit Aerospace Station. So we're going to take a little trip up what's known as the Japanese Gulch, Burlington Northern Santa Fe line to the Boeing plant to show where those containers that you saw from Spirit Aerospace wind up at. Okay, so we're going to start down here at the Mukilteo, Washington train station. You can see here, these are the same type of cars that Containerman 68 had. They're specially designed cars that carry several airplane component parts, usually fuselage sections. These actually go from this lower level all the way up to the Boeing plant. There's other cars that also go up there. This happens to be the dock that they bring in double high and double wide containers. They're from overseas. They also contain a bunch of railroad parts. What they do is a barge comes in, they put them on well cars using the overhead crane here, and then they also switch it off into the main line, and then they take it up the Japanese Gulch Trail. So over here, this is the entrance to the wharf that right now is empty as well. It just seems like it was a bad day that everything was empty. Over here, we have one of the Burlington Northern cabooses. They actually hook up the caboose when they're going up the Japanese Trail because it's so long and so far away. So you can see here, so you can see it still has the windows. Some of them are already blocked out and all. Yellow caboose markings on the side. They actually do use this at the end of the train when they're going up the steep grade. Different various things that they use to keep track of the wide loads that they have to bring up. So you see here, this track goes right over here to the main line. The main line track, this track goes into the main line over into the section. There's the well cars, and you can see that there's the train station down at the other end, as well as the Boeing cars. So these well cars are some of the stuff that they also use to go up the grade. So we're going to go take a look at what we need to go to. So you can see here we're at water level, and we're going to go from these tracks basically at water level up this steep hill to this train. Okay, so there we are. There's the Mukilteo train station back there in the distance. There's the rail cars. Then you can see there's the signal for the switch to tell you whether or not the tracks are clear. I'm at a grade crossing right here where this car is at, so you can see that I'm at level. We're about 5 to 8 feet above sea level, and that's the actual track that goes up to the Boeing up Japanese Gulch. So this track is extremely steep, and it actually is. So we can see here, that's the box. We're at Mount Baker Avenue crossing. There's the rail. You see there that there's a retaining wall back behind there. You can see that there's the big hump in the road to get over the crossing. The crossing actually goes off and up the hill. You can see how steep it is just by looking at the side of the grade right now. So even in this short area, we'll see how steep it goes up in just a few feet. So we're not going to get too close because there's all kinds of restrictions to go up into that area. But we're going to kind of see how steep this grade is. And this train track does have the steepest grade in North America at 5.7%. So there's the mainland, there's the station. You can see where it's coming across the crossing. It's red now, of course. And then as we go up the track, we can see here's a retaining wall. Those are going to be flat and parallel, and you can see that there's one goes away, and then two goes away. We lose a third one here in a minute, and then a fourth one as the train goes up the hill and around the curve. So that's pretty steep. I mean, even looking at it, you can tell that that's a pretty gnarly checkpoint that it goes up. And the tracks are pretty well worn because they constantly have traffic on it all the time. It goes up. It also goes up, snakes around the gulch, and then comes back again. So it kind of meanders up the top of the gulch all the way. And then you can see that they use extra wide loads on this. Some of the containers are like 25 feet wide, so they hang over the sides of the cars a lot as they're going up. So again, you can see there's the waterfront. We come on up, how steep the grade is. It goes on up around, comes around the curve, and then you can see it curves right away. Now, if we look a little bit closer, I'm going to get up there a little bit farther down. Sorry about the fence. It gets in the way sometimes. But as you track this up, you can see that it meanders up the gulch, and there's a bridge up there when I drive on over there. So this is the bridge. It's about 95 feet above where I was before, and the tracks are down below. You can see the water there and the tracks as they go swirling around the side. So we're going to run over to the other side of the... Stay up. So here we are on the other side of the bridge. You can see that the track goes up. There's all the way up and still keeps going up around the corner. And then there's some sort of diverting track here. I'm not exactly sure what that's for, if that's to derail it before it hits the bridge or something in case of an emergency. Maybe somebody can tell me what this is. But this is the first time I've ever seen one of those. We're going to go down and probably try to take another closer look at the track to see if... So for obvious reasons, this is as close as I'm going to get to the track. You can see here that it's all restricted still with no trespassing, and they don't want people there on the track. But again, here we've got the track going up, another retaining wall, and you can start seeing that we're already losing beams as the track goes up. So this still continues to be a very steep grade where we see that we lose about 9, as I'm just in this little panning, we lose about 9 height sections of that retaining wall as it goes up the hill. So it's a bad grade. I just don't know how the trains get up it. Okay, so now in the train video, we're up at the airport. So we're going to show you where those cars finally wind up at. We're at about 530 feet now. This is the Boeing Delivery Center where they have all their different airplanes where they deliver out of. You can see 787s, 767s, the tankers that are there, 777s. That's the fueling dock area. That's the actual assembly building. And as we pan over, we start to see containers. Okay, those are some of the containers that they bring up. And then you can barely see, those are the train cars that you can see at the disassembly spot. These are more containers that are still up there. So those are all aircraft parts that are brought up from Japanese Gulch up to the top of this factory. So those are there's the cars themselves in a better, clearer view, getting ready to unload what they have. That section over there that was green, that's one of the things that comes out of those cars. So all of those, like I said, are double-sized containers. They're either double height, some of them are double height and double wide. You can see that they're on flat cars and in well cars. That's how they bring in all of the airplane parts from overseas. They put them in containers and stick them in those carts. So again, we come up all the way up through that gulch, 500 feet at 5.7%. They come into here in the assembly building. This is where they get assembled. They go across the highway over here into the paint shops. Once they get onto the paint shops, they get over here to delivery, and then they get ready to take off. So that's where all those containers go to. It's a pretty neat and pretty high, steep grade, all to make airplanes. So they go from Kansas all the way to Everett, Washington to be built into airplanes that we fly every day. I also thought that this was interesting on Google Earth. Since I can't show you up close, you can see here Boeing's train yard. So what they call the Boeing 4055 building is the receiving building. You can see some of those containers that are over there. You can see the engines and the caboose just outside of the parking lot there. And then I didn't know this until I looked at the thing, but there's actually a turntable that they have to, I guess, to be able to turn the engines or turn around whatever the cars are that they need to be able to get to. So I guess sometimes they might load them backwards or something, and they need to be able to open them up and get the freight out. But yeah, this is Boeing's little train yard at Everett, Washington. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this, and I hope you liked the video and it was informative. Thanks a lot. This is Steve with Steve 87, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad, saying thanks for watching.